sat there, bought something for like $50, and you somehow forgot. You go to now you owe 120. It's like, my nigga, where did the money come from? Alright, what's going on with y'all boys, man? Back with another video, and in this video, this joint is titled "The Buy Now Pay Later Trap Explained" by Grant Rudall. Now check this channel out, and this is his most viral video, so this one's a banger. Apparently, we're gonna get straight into it. Make sure to subscribe and everything. Let's go.
Why is pay in 4 so addictive?
I literally once financed a bottle of body wash.
You know what? I'm gonna afterpay this. It's gonna make me feel less guilty to pay it in 4 installments of $81 or whatever.
That's like having a black American Express to me. I can use it anywhere, anytime I get ready.
I'm using Klarna to pay for these Chris Brown tickets.
Look at this chart right here. This shows the total non-housing consumer debt in America over the last 10 years. And in 2024, Americans collectively owe more than $5 trillion, which is enough to pay for every NFL, NBA, and MLB team 10 times over. And to make matters worse, we are constantly surrounded by psychological tricks and hidden fees to drive us further and further into debt. The worst of these tricks, the buy now, pay later programs that have been designed to take advantage of young adults.
So when you buy a $100 pair of shoes and you only have to pay $25 that day, and then the pair of shoes show up at my apartment 3 days later, the shoes are $25. Why do I care if in 2 months I have to pay another $25? I don't know me 2 months from now. She can deal with that.
Buy now, pay later is a short-term financing option that is offered by companies like Affirm, Klarna, or Afterpay. You'll typically
see, I don't even want to cut them off too much, but like genuinely, I'm not gonna lie, I've always like known and felt, depending on what you're buying, let me say this, realistically, 99% of the time, you should just buy your stuff in full. You should just pay it all off. There's no reason to add that more like installments on top of whatever. If you can't buy it right now in full, low key, don't even get it. I'm gonna be honest. Depending though, like genuinely, I'd say like, unless it's something that you like really need, and like, you know, you got the money to like pay it, and you know you can manage your money well. Other than that, if it's anything, I'm not gonna lie, if it's anything under like $500, if whatever you're doing is under like $500 and you got to do like installments, I don't even think it's worth it.
See these options pop up on e-commerce stores, offering you the ability to buy what you want today while deferring your payment over a certain number of installments. So if you're looking to buy a new suitcase for a trip you have coming up and it's going to cost you $300, instead of paying that all today, you could buy the suitcase today and then split the $300 across 4 equal interest-free payments. And you might think, great, interest-free. I can just sign up for these payments and then worry about paying it sometime later down the road. But it's not quite that simple. These buy now, pay later programs aren't necessarily groundbreaking financial technology. In fact, buy now, pay later programs are kind of a newer, modernized version of the old school layaway programs that you would see at stores like Kmart and Sears. These layaway programs allowed you to place a deposit on an item like a dishwasher, for example. And then the store would reserve that dishwasher for you to collect once you had paid off the dishwasher through their installment plan. But these layaway programs kind of fell off throughout much of the mid-20th century, mainly due to the introduction of credit cards and revolving lines of credit. Instead of using a layaway program and waiting to collect their item, people could just swipe a credit card, get their item today, and then worry about paying off that over the next couple months or years. The only problem is that a credit card will incur interest. People realized that if they didn't pay their credit card down on time, they would end up owing more than they initially spent on the item. So along came the modern marvel that is buy now, pay later, which gave you the best of both worlds. Get your product today, pay it off over a longer period of time, all while doing it interest-free. And that idea began hooking people in, because buy now, pay later has seen some explosive growth over the last 5 years, going from $2 billion in transaction volume in 2019 to $24.2 billion in 2021. And it's projected to reach as high as $122 billion in 2025. But this explosion wasn't just happening in a vacuum. It's actually part of 3 major cultural shifts that we've been seeing. First is the financialization of everything, meaning we've moved from a completely cash-based society to a society in which we look at even a $5 coffee as an opportunity to finance the transaction. Second, we have
I'm gonna be so honest. Yo, I'm gonna say this right now. If you're financing a $5 coffee, please trust me, it's not worth it. You need to understand whatever you're doing with your life, you need to change it. We shouldn't be financing anything below $500. I'm trying to tell you. Like I said, it really depends though, because sometimes I can understand, but like, dog. Like if you're financing fast food, you shouldn't be paying off DoorDash. You shouldn't be paying off no, none of that's worth. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Social media driven consumption. As influencers showcase luxury lifestyle and products, buy now, pay later allows the average consumer the ability to experience those same things without actually incurring the cost today. And third, we have the post-pandemic spending boom, which has consumers using buy now, pay later as a form of revenge spending or buying things they feel like they missed out on during the pandemic. Combine all of that with a declining financial literacy among most young adults, and you have the perfect storm to make buy now, pay later explode as a new mentality. But why is this even a problem? If they're not charging interest, how can they actually be taking advantage of me as a consumer? To answer that question, we first need to look at the differences between buy now, pay later programs and traditional credit cards. Because on the outside, they're basically the same thing. Both financial devices allow you to buy something today that you might not necessarily be able to afford or be willing to put cash down today for. But a credit card usually involves some sort of approval process, application, review, and a credit report hit. Meanwhile, buy now, pay later programs offer an almost instantaneous approval for your purchase in the moment. Additionally, as we discussed, credit cards can accrue interest if not paid off by the end of the month. And that rate can be at crazy high rates, usually around 19 to 23%. On top of that, if you're late with your payment or you miss a payment, credit card companies can also add on late payment fees that just end up waterfalling you into insane amounts of credit card debt off of fairly simple purchases to begin with. And on the other hand, buy now, pay later offers 0% interest, which sounds great.
Sat there, bought something for like $50 and you somehow forgot. You go to now you owe 120. It's like, my nigga, where did the money come from?
That all depends on if you actually pay your payments on time. If you don't, you'll be subject to late payment fees that can range anywhere from $2 to $15 per payment and going all the way up to 25% of the total value of the purchase you made initially. And with all that said, buy now, pay later still might sound like a perfectly good alternative to credit cards, which is exactly what they want you to think. Because buy now, pay later programs weren't necessarily designed to help the consumer like you or me. They were designed for stores and brands that want to sell more through their website or in their stores. After all, that's why brands are willing to pay 2 to 3% more for their transaction fees to use a buy now, pay later program versus a traditional credit card processor. To give you an example, let's look at a $100 purchase. If you bought a $100 item using a normal credit card on their site, the brand was typically going to incur about a $2.50 charge to process that payment. And on the other hand, if you were to use a buy now, pay later program, that transaction fee that the brand has to pay goes from $2.50 to about $5. But the merchant fees are just the beginning when it comes to buy now, pay later. So let's look at how these companies actually make money beyond just charging the brand that hosts them on their website. First, like we just discussed, they're going to collect that merchant fee, which is anywhere from 4 to 6% of the transaction price. Second, they profit from late fees, like we talked about earlier, which has turned out to be a pretty substantial revenue source for companies like Affirm and Klarna, because 1 in every 3 users of these buy now, pay later programs actually ends up missing a payment at least once. And third, every purchase that is made reveals something about you or your shopping habits, and these companies have realized that that is very valuable information for other brands. So they actually harvest a lot of the data from your checkout pages and then sell it to other brands that can then use it in their marketing or in their ad targeting. And finally, they benefit from the sheer volume of loans being opened up by packaging yours and everybody else's debt together and selling it to larger financial institutions. They can make money even when you pay on time. In other words, they've created a system where they win no matter what happens to you financially. So now let's look at buying an iPhone for $1,000. When you reach the checkout page, you have 3 options. Number 1, pay the full $1,000 up front. This is the simplest, cleanest, and easiest way to get out of the checkout scotch-free. Option 2, you could use a credit card with the typical 22% APR to purchase the phone. And if you only made the minimum payments, you would end up paying about $1,480 over the course of 5 years, with $480 of that being the interest alone. And option number 3 is you could use Afterpay's 4-payment installment plan where you pay $250 today and then then $250 every 2 weeks until the plan is paid off. Which sounds like the best deal to you? You see, brands have mastered psychological manipulation throughout their website, but specifically on the last hurdle, which is the checkout page. And they do this through 4 key tricks. First, they exploit what psychologists call the pain of paying. By splitting the cost over a longer period of time, your brain actually registers.
Paying with cash is generally considered more painful than paying with credit or debit cards. This is because cash is a tangible representation of money and its loss is more immediately felt. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because it's like if you're physically watching the money come out of your hand, it feels more like, you know, it's like, but but also seeing it come out your bank account ain't the same. It's not, it don't change too much. No, it's the same feeling. Yeah, I think credit cards might be the only thing though. Cause seeing it come out the bank ain't no different. Just seeing the numbers go down it's still, I don't know what, but like a credit card low key is a bit different, which is worse because the numbers go up instead of going down.
Financial pain than paying the full amount up front. Second, they trigger what is called the temporal discounting, which is our tendency to value immediate rewards more than future benefits, or otherwise known as instant gratification. Pay just $25 today and it's yours sounds a lot better than waiting and saving up for it. Third, they will create artificial urgency by simulating limited time offers in the checkout page. And finally, they use colors and shapes to direct your eye exactly where they want you to be looking. Have you ever noticed that the buy now, pay later button is often highlighted in a brighter color, and it's sometimes even pre-selected when you reach the checkout page? These aren't accidents. These are specific design decisions to short circuit your brain to making a financial decision more on an impulse than with rational thinking. Instead of thinking about a $100 purchase rationally and over a longer period of time, they'd rather have you just click the pay $25 now and worry about it later on. And again, this isn't necessarily a bad deal because people are always looking for interest-free ways of purchasing things so that their money can go and earn them more money while they're paying off the other thing that they purchased. But to do so requires some financial education or experience. And sadly, most Americans are completely undereducated when it comes to financial literacy. So the instant gratification syndrome kicks in and they buy practically everything with buy now, pay later, with no real concern that they will in fact have to pay that off at some point. All they're worried about is the price that they will pay today, which is exactly how you end up with this.
I've done groceries. I've done all kinds of crap on Affirm and Klarna. But it adds up, and then you are in a chokehold.
You're paying, that's rent for like a single bedroom in like Houston, Texas. You said, how did I know? My TikTok feed don't be trolling me, bro.
And in some ways, it is worse than having credit card payments. It's crazy.
Because buy now, pay later is so easy to do, people are starting to use it on more and more occasions where it's really not meant to be used. Instead of just
like
using it on a big
DoorDash
purchase
and
like
fast
a
food,
fridge or a TV.
See, that's what I was saying. Anything below like $500, realistically, you shouldn't. You know, like I said, like shoes, I don't think you should do it with shoes. I think anything tech-wise is different, like a phone, a computer, a TV, a monitor, something that you might, like a laptop or like something, like, I don't know. Anything tech-wise, I think is a bit more reasonable because it's like, all right, you might need, like, you might need a phone and you need a phone now, but like, you know, you could pay it off as you're working or whatever. I don't know. But like, anything other than that, bro, I mean,
to use it on smaller things and truly financing items that have no business being financed. A crazy story that we recently saw is that
I just said that DoorDash. You shouldn't be financing DoorDash. If you have to finance DoorDash, don't be on DoorDash. There's no reason. I'm trying to tell you, genuinely, you should not be financing fast food. That doesn't make sense.
Is now on DoorDash, which allows you to finance your $15 burrito over 4 payments of $375 instead of paying the full $15 up front. Again, not a necessarily terrible thing when looked at in a vacuum, but when you expand
but it's like, dog, it's fast food though. You shouldn't be financing fast food. Like,
consider that someone who's financing a burrito is also probably financing a lot of other things that's when the real problem starts to arise. Bad spending habits like this lead to what we call loan stacking. Pretty much what it sounds like, taking out loan after loan after loan and stacking them on top of each other. And because buy now, pay later programs make it so easy to do so, most consumers don't even realize how much debt they're actually accruing. In fact, in 2022, 63% of buy now, pay later borrowers had more than one loan going at one time. And this is where it gets really scary. Because these programs are designed to offer credit with little to no approval process, it's almost like they're targeting people that don't know how to manage their money. All they see is, oh, I can buy this $1,000 thing for $250 today, and they just click buy. When in reality, over 69% of buy now, pay later users are already in debt on another credit card. And 28% of buy now, pay later borrowers are between the ages of 18 and 24 years old. Most of these people don't even understand the concept of how a credit card works, and by giving them this buy now, pay later option, it's almost like they have this unlimited stream of money that never needs to actually be paid off. Again, don't get me wrong, there are definitely some advantages to the system if you know how to play it, but the vast majority of people using the system are not taking advantage of it. They're just getting taken advantage of.
Hold on.
So what do you do?
Hold on. You said advantages. Hold on. You gonna give some? Hold on.
The consumers, should I completely stay away from buy now, pay later, or are there some circumstances where it makes sense? And to answer that question, the most important piece of advice I can give you is to never spend more than you currently have, whether that be through a credit card.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, you know, if you don't even got it for real, realistically, you shouldn't be buying it. Unless, like I said, unless you know for a fact, like say you needed to get something and you like, oh, I don't got all the money in my bank account right now, but I get paid, like say the item's like $400 and you gotta pay it off every 2 weeks or whatever. And you know for a fact you get paid tomorrow and you pulling in like a band or more, and all your other responsibilities taken care of because you already spent your money on those. If you know what I'm saying, like if that's what happened, then I say like, all right, you should be straight.
Or a buy now, pay later option. If you don't have the cash in your bank,
money's scary,
don't spend it. And that is by far the easiest way that you can keep yourself out of credit card debt. And if you feel confident in your financial abilities, feel free to use a credit card or a buy now, pay later option to earn more interest on your cash while it's sitting in your account versus just spending it immediately. But if you don't feel confident about this, treat your credit cards and a buy now, pay later program as if it's hooked directly up to your checking account. If you spend $100, that's $100 coming directly out of your account. Another tip I have is to avoid stacking these loans, because that is where things can get very messy very quickly. If you start financing weekly expenses like gas, groceries, or that Friday night Chipotle bowl, it becomes a slip.
Yeah, see, I think some things you genuinely should not be like you shouldn't finance gas. I think anything where you know for a fact you definitely need it, I don't think it should be financed. Because usually wants are always financed. Or no, needs are mainly financed, but like people, like I'm saying, like people finance wants more than needs sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't think you should be financing gas for your car. I don't think you should be and I know everything's expensive right now, like insanely expensive. But like, I don't think you should be financing groceries or DoorDash or like I think the only things that should be financed, like I said, is like if you just bought a TV or like a laptop or a phone or your car or like your you know, obviously your house, wherever you're living, like that's different. But like, other than that,
it is 100
like, I think
times easier to get into debt than it is to get out of it. But there you have it, the truth about buy now, pay later. These companies spend millions of dollars on psychological research to get you to spend more than you can actually afford. But now you know a little bit more about how to protect yourself. And if you like this video, make sure to check out this video that covers the business of Formula One and how billionaires use debt to fund their crazy hobby of racing.
What the fuck? Okay, that was a good plug. That was a good plug. Yeah, he gonna do great. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that video, man. Make sure to subscribe and like everything. Check out the video on screen. See you guys in the next one. Yeah, peace.